and Ashley are here with us. How are you guys doing?
We're doing amazing. Oh my gosh, Sean.
Ah, that's awesome. Yeah, man. Awesome. Welcome, guys, to Train or Die, episode 155. Tonight, we have one of the most epic shows ever for you guys. We are streaming live on several different channels. I was going to ask Chris, if you could, please, could you try on Facebook, because we're having a little bit of trouble there right now, but we'll get there soon. Anyways, as we always do to kick off the show, let's go and celebrate some wins. I'm going to come right over to Will and Paige Douglas, some of my favorite family people in the world. What's your wins this week, bros?
Well, for today, it's being here. We feel like we've been sprinting since about 4 o'clock to make sure we're here on time, trying to get our kids put in the right place. So, huge win for today. Can't wait to meet Josh and his wife. Super pumped for that. And,
Yeah. All right. Let's go to Jaylee Mathis. Jaylee, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? My win is we actually have someone that's funny on tonight. I'm so excited, guys. Like, not corny, but funny. I'm so pumped.
Yes, and most definitely, before, I want to hear from Josh and Ashley. It's so wonderful to have you guys here. I'm so excited for tonight. What are your guys' biggest wins in the past 7 days?
Well, we've had several, the biggest of which was getting all 5 of our kids off to school, because school started this week, which is a monolithic or megalithic, like epic Mount Everest type task, and we all survived. There was minimal tears.
We barely survived.
Everyone's alive still, so that was the number 1 win.
Yes, absolutely. That's a big win, and I'm so excited about that. Mr. Chris, Mr. The Beard, the idea guy, Baden, what's up, dude?
What's up, digital geniuses? Hope your week is off to a great start. If not, you're in the right place, because it's about to get turned up in here. We're going to have fun tonight. We have a lot of good things for you. Some wins in land of Baden. I trimmed the beard since this thing has been continuing to be talked about week over week. We're back in Vegas. So we've been traveling for about a month and a half, and we're finally getting settled. Here's a trick. And I would love to hear more about Josh and Ashley's take on this. But have you ever struggled with cleaning your house? Being on point, it's annoying. There's laundry toys everywhere. Here's the secret. You invite somebody over to come to your house, and then suddenly it becomes important. And like, we went to bed last night, and I was like, hey, like, the house looks awesome. Nice work. I was working all day, and and she's like, yeah, we have people coming over tomorrow. I was like, that's a life hack right there. So I don't know if that's in honor and fire system, but we'll find out tonight. So massive win. Back to you, Sean.
Yes, that is awesome. Please write your wins in the chat room. We want to celebrate those with you, because tonight's a really special night. It's not every day you get to talk to these people. I am so excited for them. They are part of our Inner Circle family from ClickFunnels, and we just love having them here. As we get started, is there anybody, any wins in the chat that we can see right now? It looks like we got a few. Chris, what's going on?
Yes. Okay, let's see. Lori says, leads from an engagement ad. That's awesome. Great. Copying awesome. Good work on posting that, getting some engagement and leads from it. I feel like we have found creative ways. It's not online or offline. Hopefully it's online and offline. It's all fair game. Go hunt, go win, go build your business. So Copying Awesome for doing that. She said it complements my business example. Nice. She found like other companies that it makes sense to partner with. So nice work on that one. Those are some wins in the chat, John.
Yeah, that's awesome. We already have questions streaming in. People obviously know about you guys. Super excited. A couple from our Twitch channel, one from YouTube already, so that's super exciting. We're still trying to get live on Facebook, which we will be here in a second. So anyways, tonight is so special. We have Josh and Ashley here, and here's how the night's going to go, guys. We're going to do kind of an open barbecue-style interview with these guys. So any questions that you may have, drop them in the chat room. We'll be calling those out as you say them. And also, we're going to be pulling from social to ask them some questions. But I just want to, well, let's jump right into it. I mean, we can get right into this, guys. Josh and Ashley, they live in Fenton, Michigan, and they have what you call, I think, it's such a cool term. It's called a facile, which is a farm castle that they live in, which is really cool, and I love that. And let's see here. They have, Josh, I got to ask you about this. You have, not right now, but you have a Facebook page that you like. It's called Mosquito Defense. I got to ask you about that. Anyways, Josh's and Ashley's superpowers include marketing, being hilarious on video, and they're focused on helping business owners to build a legacy. Josh started out at college with no money and he built a really kick-ass cleaning business. He worked a ton of hours, started to see some success, but then he realized he was trapped because he was a slave to his business. He embraced this concept, this one concept, and I think it changed everything, of implementing simple systems into his business to create an opportunity to where he can get out of the business and spend more time with the family. And I believe some of that probably spawned what Honor and Fire is, and he's going to tell us all about that tonight. I'm super excited about that. His businesses, this guy is accomplished. They are very accomplished. They started with the cleaning business, then they started a company called Send Gym, which crushed it. And then they did another one called Automate, Grow, and Sell, which crushed it. And now they're coming out with Honor and Fire. So these guys have been around the block several times. They have lots of amazing stories. I can't wait to hear them talk. Guys, welcome to the show. We'd love to hear your version of how you guys got here.
Our version is way less cool and messy and gross than your version by a lot. We got married and we were high school sweethearts. I was a pizza delivery guy. We lived in a trailer park, and I launched my first business with a 1993 Chevy Cavalier with a ladder strapped to the roof of the Chevy Cavalier. And I called it my work truck, but it wasn't a truck. It had like the perfect amount of rust on it, and I loved that little car. But I would go and I started doing this business thing. It was really hard, and I don't know if anybody in the chat has started with humble beginnings. Like maybe you didn't come from a trust fund, or we didn't. You're my people, so high five. And we basically have we both actually have master's degrees in suffering and bachelor's degrees in pain from the University of Life, mostly through my own stupidity. But that's how we learn. But yes, systems is the key. It's one of those buzzwords that people hear in business. But it can set you free, and it's actually more powerful than you think. And you think you know what systems mean, but maybe you don't. And I'm sure we'll get into some of that tonight, because that is the big difference maker between the winners and everybody that stays stuck.
Yes. And Ashley, I know you have something to add to that.
Well, I have to say that we did not come from entrepreneurs, and what happened actually, to be really true, is that I had a 6-week-old baby. I was a brand new mama. And he's like, yeah, I just quit that job. We're going to do this thing. And I was like, panic. And so as his business started to grow and we figured it out, then we started implementing systems in our family because we knew that they worked for the business. We had to try. It wasn't like, oh, let's try this out. It's going to be so glorious. It was like we had to try because we were drowning. We were drowning. We weren't even surviving. It was our last ditch effort. And it worked. And it's radically changed our life.
Now, everything's literally perfect. So we're totally perfect now. But back then, it was a total, no, I'm just kidding. But it helped. It made a difference. We would have lost our marriage. We would have lost everything. I mean, within a couple of years of starting our company, our first real company, we had a car repossessed. We had our electricity shut off. I started drinking. I would go hide in the garage and stress out on my phone and be drinking and just stressed out, don't you know what I'm doing is for this family type of thing. I don't know if any men out there have used that age-old excuse, right, why you're totally failing and burning your family to the ground. I did that. We had my wife's debit card declined. She tries to buy groceries. We had all these weird, embarrassing, humiliating things happen, especially for me as a man, the provider. I want to conquer stuff, and I was just failing. So the highlight reel that you read in the beginning, that's really cool, and that's awesome. But that is less than 1/10 of 1% of the whole story. And what helped save us, other than God, is systems.
Yeah, and I think that's really amazing. I want to kind of kick it off and just ask, the first question, we're going to just kind of keep sizzling you here if you're okay with that. But I think before we get into that, maybe just give an overview about Honor and Fire, what it is, what it's actually here to do, and just share that really quick, because I think that'll give us a basis for the rest of the conversation.
Sure, whatever you want to do.
Well, we've had the vision for Honor and Fire for 5 years. Honor and Fire isn't a company. For us, it's the beginning of a movement for us. It's like our heart project. It's like the thing that's burning inside of us for 5 years. And because of our other businesses, we're in a position to actually execute on it. So we've been talking about it and dreaming about it for a long time. And I have a software company as well, and that company is at a place now where we just installed a new CEO, so I could step back and that's going good. And then my other company, Automate, Grow, Sell, I sold off the majority stake of that, and the other guys took over as CEO of that. And we did both of those moves 100% for one reason, and it was to start Honor and Fire, to launch Honor and Fire, because I'll just throw it out there. Like, we think the hustle grind, like Cardone style stuff, in our opinion, like that
I mean, you
thing.
just name dropped. You were just gonna say hustle grind.
Grant Cardone has good advice. Like, there's some things he says that could be true. I'm not talking about like the data points or that he gives bad advice. What I'm saying is the culture that you need to hustle and grind to get a trophy wife and get your Ferrari and get your Instagram shot. That illusion that is like really gross to us. Now, I don't want to detract from the fact that I'm an extremely ambitious business person, just like everybody on here, and my wife is too. Business is important. Creating margin is important. Creating wealth is important. That's how you change your family tree and change your community. But you don't do it by this all or nothing hustle grind thing, you know. And so I see like two camps, and I don't see a middle. And the one camp is like this insane, like, work 23 hours a day camp, and then I see the, you know, money isn't everything, you know, just slow down, don't build a business, just get a 9-to-5 job and be a stay-at-home dad, and all this crap over here, which is crap. And there's not the middle. Like, how do you be ambitious and go for it and be totally hyper-communicated with your wife and your kids at the same time? Like, how do you do that? That's the message we're trying to bring to people.
Sorry, yeah, I was just muted there. That's an awesome answer, and I think that gives us a really great basis for why you guys are here tonight. Obviously, we have a community, a tribe of hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs that are just getting started with their online journey. We have a lot of like done-for-you stuff that we put in place with them, like we've given them funnels and everything else, teaching them to drive marketing and traffic. And I think maybe as you started your journey from like offline into the online space, could you just share a little bit of what you experienced?
Yeah, a whole bunch more pain and suffering. But you know, what I've found in all businesses is that a lot of us really know what to do, but we're just not doing it. In fact, I have a friend, you have a friend, Alex Hormozy. The last Inner Circle meeting, I'm sitting next to this guy, and he's ripped. I mean, the guy looks like an alien. He's so jacked.
No, he looks like Wolverine.
It's unbelievable. He looks like he ate Wolverine.
No, Wolverine and the Hulk had a baby, and it made Alex Hormozy.
Well, I'm sitting next to him, and I'm like, hey, Alex, you got any like tips for me on like how to get fit? You know, I got a little pudge. My dad bod going. I was like, you got any like secret ninja tricks so I can get super ripped like you? And you know what he said to me? And this was a cold hard truth slap in the face. And he said it lovingly in Alex Hormozy style. He looked at me and he said, Josh, do you really need me to tell you? Or do you already know, but you're just not doing it? So, with that being said, to answer your question, when I started my online business, I had this illusion that if I build it, they will come. Like, because I created something cool, or because I had something cool, like many of like the people in your tribe have, they like have an insane product, insane offer, they have all the technology, everything's sitting there. They think because they're part of the tribe, or because they have the login to that ClickFunnels with their page, with their funnel, that somehow like the universe owes you success or something. And I thought that, and it's an innocent mistake, but it doesn't work like that. And if I would have been more honest with myself, I should have known that I was going to have to hustle, grind, boots on the ground, massive effort, massive imperfect action, put yourself out there to create momentum. And that's what held me back when I initially went into the online world. Is I never created momentum through sales. I focused only on like fixing the perfect word on the landing page and retweaking things 500,000 times without doing the most important thing, which is driving traffic.
Yeah, I think that's amazing, and I love that you shared that. And now I want to ask something else, because I know the marketing world, the online world, can consume a human being like hardcore. And now you've added this other dynamic of you're building businesses, and now you got this online marketing thing, and then family, right? So talk about balance for a second. Like, how does that work?
It's actually amazing. I mean, we're an entrepreneurial family, so I think it might be harder if you parse those things apart. Like, you know how some married couples that have like separate checking accounts and stuff? Like, that, in a way, that's like almost like, yeah, you live your life, I'll live my life. We don't do that stuff. I'm not judging if someone does. I'm just telling you the truth of what we've done. And with our kids, we talk about business and value creation and how to serve and give and how to be radically generous. And we talk about business and profit and selling and persuasion with our kids. Like, with our like 8-year-old, like I'll have them read a script to me, like while I'll record them, be like, hey, give me a hook story offer. And not because I'm pushing them to be entrepreneurs, it's because I'm giving them an unfair advantage in life. And so entrepreneurship, as we do this interview right now, I kid you not, we have a 5-bedroom house, and all 5 of our kids are trapped in our master bedroom watching TV, and they've been commanded to be quiet because we wanted to do this from home tonight instead of go to my office. So it's real life, but they understand. They're like, hey, are you doing a paid interview tonight, Dad? I'm like, no, this is just with our friends. And they're like, are you doing this? Are you doing a webinar, Dad? How much money are you going to make on the webinar, Dad? They know what's going on. And so when you bring your kids into the conversation, even when they're little, you'll be shocked at how much they get out of them.
All right, so that begs another question. How young is too young?
Oh,
Not born yet?
yeah.
Okay. Ashley.
One of the things is that we developed an app, and it's not really available to the public, but we developed an app for employees called Automate Motivate, and we use it with our kids for like chores and different things like that. And so they have to create value, and they get points. Now they can turn those points and get loot, and they can get money, they can get special camp out with mom or dad, a movie, but they also can get their game time. And so they know that they have to create value. And so they're creating value. And so just now they were fighting over who was actually in charge of watching everybody, because who was going to get the points, because they're trying to create value. So like even one of my other sons who was like, well, I brought popcorn. I feel like this is value. Like, please come to me, little children. Like they're really always thinking about how they can create value for our family.
Wow, that's awesome. I love the inclusion. I think inclusion's a big piece of it, right? Like it opens up the communication channels pretty good. Let me ask you this: why did you guys leave Sen Jim? And I mean, 2 really super successful businesses that you guys have had or more, right? Why did you leave all that stuff and just went full all in with Honor and Fire?
The true answer is probably because every time I get a business to the point where it's working pretty good, I get really bored with it. So that's a piece of it. Part of me likes the abuse, and I like everyone watching this. If you're new in business, like for me, it's like jumping off a cliff and trying to build a plane on the way down. Right? You're like free falling, like and you're like trying to use a hand screwdriver, and but the cool part is even if you hit the ground, like you don't die, you can climb back up and do it again over and over. So we wanted to do something new, but most importantly, we wanted to do something together, because even though we're big advocates of family systems, I put a massive sacrifice and amount of time into those companies to get them where they are, and they're stable, and they make money, and we make money from them, but I ain't trying to like build a unicorn. I like to build and create things from nothing, and we want to do this with our family and include our kids in it. And it's just something we've talked about for so long with our kids too, that it was time.
Yeah, that's a great answer. What happens if the one party wants to go build a business and the other party doesn't? And like, how do you, like, what's the communication? How do you start that conversation? What does that sound like? Like, how do you get the other one on board to keep running in the direction?
If my wife wasn't on board with my businesses, I wouldn't do my businesses. That's the simple answer, period, because she's infinitely more valuable than businesses. Luckily for me, not the whole time though, but luckily for me, she's incredible. She's insanely supportive of my business. I'm not just saying that because we're on here with people. Like it's crazy, but I'll let her tell some of the backstory on that.
I would say that I was not always for business, and if I would have known that there was an opt-out, I probably would have hit that button and said, no, let's not do this. Actually, to be truthful, because there were some really dark times. But you just start to grow to love the lifestyle, the freedom. Entrepreneurs think a lot differently than the rest of the world. And when you start to get around people like that, it opens your eyes to a whole new world, and then you become obsessed with it. And then we do have a label for people that are not entrepreneurs. They're called normies. They're normal people. We love them. We love normies. You should always hug your normie every day or whatever. But you know, when you start to become an entrepreneur's wife and you go full on entrepreneur, it's harder to have those conversations with normies sometimes, and so you have to like section out your life. And so now I've dove head first, and I don't think I'm going back now.
Yeah, we're not going back, but another way to answer your question, if someone is like really entrepreneurial and their spouse is like resistant to it, is step one is always connection. You have to get hyper connected with your spouse before anything else. So if you start daydreaming about business, but you're already kind of disconnected from your spouse, they're gonna like rebel against that or push back against it because they want to be part of the vision. You know, if you're an entrepreneur and your spouse is not entrepreneurial, that's okay. That can totally work. But you got to understand, as an entrepreneur, we can see the future. Like, Sean, I know that you know you're a crazy maniac, and so are you, Chris. Like, you can see it. You can see the empire. It's in 4D. It's full color. You're like, that's where we're going. Like, you don't care about the cobras and the snakes and the sticks and the thorn bushes. You're just like, you're scratched up and you're trying to explain to your non-entrepreneurial spouse, like, no, you don't. Yeah, I know we have no money. Yes, our checking account's overdrafted. Who cares about that? Just listen to me. We're going over here. We're going over there. This is where we're going. And there's a disconnect. And the best way to bridge that disconnect is two things, I would say. Number one is get hyper connected with your spouse. Number one, push pause, hit eject, do whatever you have to do. Get super clear, have the awkward, super clear conversations about your heart, about how you believe God made you to do this, and you're going to die inside if you can't do it, but you also are going to serve your spouse, and like, what are your dreams? And hash that out, even if you have to get away for a couple of days and lock yourself in a room and get a babysitter. Figure out what each of your deal is, number one. And number two is to make sure that you take this big entrepreneurial vision and you break off little chunks of it and you bring it back to real time. And so one of the biggest things I think I've done is celebrate little tiny wins, because they're not going to have the stamina to wait 5 years to have a multi-million-dollar success story, but they can wait 90 days and have a pizza party with a fog machine in your house and get a PA system with it. And we literally have all those things in our house.
We do.
We could do that and say, and high five our kids and say, we got our first customer. We got our first customer. Oh my gosh. Hey, we launched our new website. Our funnel is live. You have to celebrate the little tiny wins. And it's hard for an entrepreneur to do that because we can only see the long term. And as soon as we accomplish something, we discredit it and instantly move the bar to the next thing in perpetuity forever until we're dead.
I know there's a whole bunch in there, and I want to get everyone else in the conversation. I got one more question I'm going to ask before we bring in some other people here. If you guys don't know, Josh had a podcast. I don't know if he's still doing it. It's called the Quick Talk Podcast. And he mentioned on one of his episodes the root cause of most businesses that struggle and fail is based on this belief system. I was just wondering, like, is part of the belief system, like, how does the belief system tie into business and then honor and fire?
Belief is literally everything. In fact, what I just said about just celebrating little tiny wins, the reason that's powerful is because it gets your non-entrepreneurial spouse to start to believe.
Yes.
Belief
100% agree.
is everything. Everything. I mean, when I started my company, when I was the pizza guy, and my first real company was a window cleaning business. And like that homeless people will like run into your car in Chicago and like clean your window and ask for $5, right? So all my normie friends are like, I'm sorry, you quit your job to do what? I'm sorry, what? Like, oh my God, you poor thing, right? But for me, I could see the vision. I'm like, no, we're good. This is a real thing. But when I started, my goal was to make $500 a week to replace my pizza income. And I would get so stressed out, like, how do I just sell like 4 people $125 each? And I would like have notepads and I'd scribble and be like freaking out. My belief level at that time was low. There's a limit on it. All of us have a limit on our belief. Mm-hmm. But what happened was, long story short, over time, I started breaking through ceilings. I finally had my first $10,000 month. And I'm like, what? And then I had $50,000 a month. And I'm like, what? And then we had $100,000 a month. And we're squeegeeing dirt off people's glass, okay? Then we had $150,000 a month. What? And so your belief, it goes in steps, but it is everything. And to ask your spouse to have this level of belief when it believes right here today is going to be a tough thing to happen. You're going to have to do it a little bit at a time. By showing them wins.
There's no way I thought we were going to make $150,000 a month, let alone $150,000 a year when he first started out. I was like he said, people make $5 doing this.
Well, can I say one more thing? I'm so sorry. I'm so passionate. Okay. A lot of men especially, they want to demand the like loyalty and like no question asked like surrender of their wife to support their business with like no with no expectations attached. They just expect that they deserve to be supported like forever. Like somehow like the universe declared that. Now, I don't believe that. The problem is a lot of these people, and maybe some of the people watching this need to hear this, is you've been talking for a really long time, but you're not doing anything. You're not delivering the goods. At some point, you have to actually leave the cave and club something and like drag it home and like show it off. Like if you don't actually do that, how can you put that burden on your spouse who's in fear and unbelief because you've given them no reason to believe? That might be a little harsh, but I think it's true.
I think that's a really great point. I mean, actually, like, there is no magical, like, here's the pixie dust, now you're loyal, right? Like, that doesn't happen. So, awesome. Will and Paige have a question for you, I think. Will?
Hi. So my question is, you talk about going through some hard times at certain periods of your life through, many of the business ventures you've done. What do you do like on a daily basis to stay motivated and move forward so that you don't, so when you do kind of go through some of those hard times that you're not falling into like that negative rut?
Ooh. As a spouse or as an entrepreneur or both?
As both.
Ooh, well, I used to have a, I don't know what it's called. What's an extra personality? What is that?
Agatha?
Yeah, I used to be Nagatha.
That's her nickname back in the day. It was Nagatha.
Nagatha would rise up like, oh, something nasty, and nagging only tears you apart. And so there's a lot of things that you just need to like hold inside, tell your pillow. And also, when you have unmet expectations, that's what the nagging creates. So when you hyper communicate, something that we help people do with connection is we teach them how to hyper communicate, where you sit down and you tell your spouse exactly what's going on inside, that they can't, because I would always expect my husband, like with my like dramatic, like, you know what I mean? My passive aggressiveness. I thought that he was like totally reading my passive aggressiveness, but he wasn't. And so when we just sat down and the rubber met the road, oh, someone passive aggressive there?
You're describing like what happened at dinner an hour ago. It's like, oh, God. And he's like, what's your problem?
Yeah.
We just want the data. We're like, no, literally, like write down in a spreadsheet what the problem is because I'll fix it instantly. And then you're like, well, it doesn't even count if you can't just know. You should know what the problem is. And it's this whole thing. It's just a male-female thing, and there's accountability on both sides.
I don't know. I feel like a male can be passive aggressive too. I don't know.
Oh,
Just
for
throwing that out there.
For
But,
sure.
I think we need to get into this right now.
But hey, another anecdote is when Ashley, when she gets mad when we'd fight, not really anymore, she's grown out of this, but she would just not talk, or she'd be passive aggressive. And so I'm a talker, and so I'm like trying to talk and talk and talk. And so what I would do though, when she would do that, is I would tell her to stop yelling at me. But she wasn't saying anything. She was being silent. Like, I'd say, stop yelling at me. And then she'd still say silent. I'd say, excuse me, stop yelling at me.
Oh.
And the reason I said it is a joke now. It was really bad. I don't actually say
Yeah,
that.
don't do that. That one didn't work.
But being passive aggressive is just a different like tactic of being aggressive. It's the same thing. It's a weapon, right? People use sex as a weapon in relationships. We use money as a weapon in relationships. We use, no one can hurt you worse than the person that knows you the best. They can say the one thing, you're just like your mother. Or they can say whatever. There's a thing, and they can go there, boom, and But to avoid negativity with your original question, it helps. It helps if you have like-minded goals, because usually you're not both going to be in the deep, dark pit of despair at exactly the same time. And you'll notice if you're married that like one of you's down and the other one has to maybe man up a little extra or woman up a little extra, and so it kind of oscillates. And I think that helps a lot. The other, go ahead.
I was going to also say surrounding yourself with other entrepreneurs who have been and where you have been. Your community is so important to build you up. Listening to podcasts that are really motivational, like just having good quality friends to like just have a moment and have them build you up. Protecting yourselves from friends and normies who don't understand you. You can still have great friendships with them, but maybe you shouldn't talk about some of the hard things about business if they're going to lead you down a bad path. So really protecting your boundaries and your communities that you lay.
You have to be so careful who you share your entrepreneurial dreams with at all, because people say things. We have this whole family thing going, right? But we've made an intentional, in agreement with each other, sacrifice for multiple years where I worked an exorbitant amount of hours to achieve the thing that we both wanted to achieve. It sucked at times, it was hard at times, but we were in agreement. Doesn't mean it was easy. But people say comments like, oh, where's your husband? Because I missed a football game or a t-ball game. Oh, he's traveling again? Oh, that's different. They might say things to her, right? But nothing's wrong. Like, we're good. And then that comment comes in, and it's like, now, oh, I should be mad, blah, blah. And the last thing I'll say is, are you injured or are you hurt? Sometimes when you're doing hard things, you get really sore and the pain is happening. And we conflate being hurt with being injured. They're not the same thing. And a lot of times when we're negative, it's not Mount Everest.
That's what we say. That's one of our logos.
One of our Latimer-isms is the phrase, it's not Mount Everest. In fact, all of our kids know that phrase. We have shirts we had custom designed that say, it is not Mount Everest. Meaning, you're hurt, you're not injured. Our family doesn't have a fracture. It's just a hard day. And I think that might help some people too.
I have one other really great system. Is that okay? Sorry. One of the systems when someone would, let's say I'm turning into Nagatha, because sometimes she still rises up. Let's be honest. She likes to party a little bit, I can't let go of her all the way. But one of the things is when we see each other kind of going off the cliff, maybe going close to the edge where we're going to be in a bad spot, we say the word fresh fart. And it sounds really weird, and we have to give each other a high five. And you say, fresh fart, and you have to, let it go. And it started because we did it with our kids. And one time we were just, it was unraveling, okay? And so we told our kids to put their hands in. It wasn't Mount Everest. And we said, we're going to say fresh start. Well, we had little boys, and so they yelled fresh fart. And so now it's like a system where if we see one of us getting weird, or even if our kids, if they're fighting or something, we'll be like, fresh fart, and you have to do a fresh fart, but you don't want to.
But that's the rule.
That's the rule, and so you have to let it go, or at least communicate what's going on.
You can hit the eject button on being negative really fast if you're actually intentional about it. But sometimes it's addicting to be negative. Sometimes it's comforting to feel like the world's going to collapse on you and the universe is conspiring against you. Sometimes it feels good to feel bad for certain people, right? Because I've battled that myself. I grew up in a negative environment. But it doesn't have to be. You could hit eject. Just pretend you're hitting eject. Do the fresh fart system. High five each other. Whatever you got to do.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm going to come to Jaylee in just a second here, but I got another one. You mentioned something. I want to just walk down a marketing lane just for a quick second. You said it's really important, in one of your other things that I heard you say, it's really important to talk about who you are, what you do, and why you're doing it in the first place. How does that relate into Honor and Fire?
Well, it has to do with identity. We haven't even got passionate yet. We're about to get passionate now. Okay, identity is huge, okay? Because every single person watching this already has a fully established identity. The question is, did you establish that identity? Did you receive it from God and then build upon it yourself? Or did the world give it to you? Did your parents give it to you? Did your friends or so-called friends spew it onto you, right? So one of our isms is if you don't tell your kids who they are, the world will do it for you. And so we're really careful to make sure we define what it means to be a Latimer. Some people get intimidated by this because they're our life isn't perfect and we have all these problems. That has nothing to do with it. Writing a family manifesto, and we can actually pull ours off the fridge. It's somewhere over there. But we have a Latimer birthright, and it describes who we are, what we stand for, why we're here, what we're going to do. But it's not a proclamation of perfection. This document is aspirational. Because this is who we want to be. This is who we want to become. Yeah, actually, it's right here. Latimer birthright. I'll just read you ours. Our kids memorize this. Well, they're trying to. They're little. I am a child of God. I am here for greatness. I am relentless. I am a warrior. Even when it's hard, even when it's dark, even when I'm scared, even when I'm tired. I defend the weak. I defend my neighbor. I defend my family. I defend my mind. I choose wisdom. I choose humility. I choose faith. I choose greatness. I will do hard things. I will read God's word. I will win in business. I will win in life. Deliver me, Lord, from false pride. Deliver me, Lord, from laziness. Deliver me, Lord, from fear. And deliver me, Lord, from the enemy. And the reason we created this was to tell our kids, this is what you are. This is your birthright. You were made on purpose for a purpose. And so that applies to our kids, but the same thing should be happening with you, with your spouse, with your business, with your movement, with whatever you're trying to do. If you're only chasing dollars, you'll probably fizzle out and not do really super great. And dollars aren't bad, like dollars are awesome, but there needs to be kind of a reason behind the reason a little bit. And thinking through like a manifesto for yourself, for your family, could maybe help bring that out a little bit.
That's epic. That was a great answer. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I think that's a big part of, man, like you're just dropping value, nuggets of gold here, liquid gold everywhere. Jay Lee, you have a question? Maybe. Just trying to hit the unmute button. Oh, is she on the phone? Oh, okay. Chris, let's go to you.
She's actually calling her husband right now, and she's like, they're saying all the things I've been telling you need to know, and you need to. She's like, yeah. Am I starting a fire? Wait. That's why honor comes first, right? We gotta honor the husband first, and then the fire doesn't come. Or I'm still figuring it out. Yes. Thank you guys for going on some of the stuff you guys are sharing. You've already shared some really great systems. I'd love to get into what does a week look like. So, and how do you schedule? You have 5 kids. How are you, what systems are you using on a weekly basis? Like, what's the rhythm of connecting with your kids, and where's your time going? How do you schedule that? When you talk about it, more of what that looks like on a weekly, monthly basis.
Well, there are quite a few systems that we do. One system which actually started all of the systems. It's like the birthplace of systems. Okay, are you ready for this one? Yeah. My son was 3 years old, and the business was 3 years old, and it had started to work. But then my husband had noticed that Maverick, our son, was kind of disconnected from him, and so he developed Maverick Monday. And Maverick Monday happened in the hustle and grind part, right, where he would dedicate on Mondays, he would dedicate at least an hour to Maverick. It was only Maverick's time to shine. They'd get ice cream. They'd go for a walk. They'd throw rocks in the river. They'd do whatever it would possibly be. And so as our kids started growing, or we started growing our family, we have Maverick Monday, Tucker Tuesday, Sawyer Sunday, Finley Friday, and Judah May Thursday. And sometimes it's not an hour, sometimes it's 20 minutes, but that just one-on-one time changes the dynamics in such an impactful way that it's like I live in a different household. And I remember all the chaos of them waiting for their dad to get home, and then he wouldn't be home, and he'd be on the phone, and he would be on the internet, and he'd be doing all this stuff. But now that they know on Monday, this is my time to shine, and they're good. They're like good for the rest of the week if they had to be.
Yeah, and not that that's the only time we see them, but that's one-on-one time, and it's time to talk to them like they're an adult. They'll be like 5 years old, and I'm like, so how's your life going? Tell me something you're struggling with right now. And they're like, well, this one kid pushed me down at preschool, and that was mean, or whatever. But having adult conversations as young as possible, even if they don't understand it, it's fine. Just talking to them with respect as a person is insane. That was just God's grace I even thought to do that, and I think it was the smartest thing I've ever done as a parent, probably, was doing that. I forgot the original question. Oh, the flow of the week?
Yeah.
So to give you some more of that, over the last few weeks, me and Ashley and I, that's the proper way to say it, right? we were speaking at a conference in Branson, Missouri, and rather than just go speak at a conference, we took all 5 of our kids with us. The next week after that, so we went to Branson, Missouri, we spoke, we did the whole thing, then we fly back home. Not even a week later, we went
2 days later.
Yeah, 2 days later, we went to Denver for the Unlock the Secrets event that Russell put on, and we took our 2 oldest with us there and brought them into the entrepreneurship world. But it was amazing because our kids could see, because I have a podcast and stuff, the Branson conference, a lot of people knew who I was there. And, every 5 feet, people are like shaking my hand, wanting a picture. And they're like, why is this happening? And I'm like explaining to them, because I've created value, because I've helped them through this, because I did hard things and I learned how to communicate and I communicate to them. And so now, and they like get it. They get it and they're seeing it and we're bringing them into it. And it's amazing.
Perfect.
There we go. Had the meat thing there. There's a shift in Chris's life when I saw Caleb Maddox on stage, Funnel Hacking Live a few years ago, and I was always thinking, I have 2 boys now, and I was always thinking if I have boys, I wonder what sports they're gonna play and martial arts they're gonna do, and when I saw Caleb, I was like, no, forget it all, that. And it was this entrepreneurial space, and Expert Secrets Ground, what's the age limit there? Is it 5's a good idea, or are there babies there?
For Caleb's stuff, our youngest son is 9, and he watches Caleb Maddox and stuff. We got to meet Caleb in Denver, and our middle son Tucker, who's 10, is a huge fan. And Caleb came up to him and was like, "What's up, buddy?" And he got his picture with him. It was a really big deal.
Oh,
They
there's
love
a
it.
funny story behind that too. What happened is that I don't know if you guys have seen the 10X documentary with Russell Brunson where he went. And so I watched that with my kids, all 5 of them. It was just me and the 5 kids, and they loved it, okay? We pull them a part of everything. They're a part of everything, right? And he had saw the part, my son Tucker, who met Caleb Maddox, had saw the part where Garrett White is inspiring Russell, just giving him it's this emotional, intense time, if you remember that. And Tucker tells us on the airport on the way to Denver, when I grow up, I'm going to be Garrett White. And I was like, part of me was awesome, and then I was like, oh dear goodness, who are you going to tell? Because he's got some cuss words and stuff, and I was thinking, what part of Garrett White do you want to become? And
Just to clarify.
And he had never seen, he didn't know Garrett White even cuss, right? So that's what he does. He goes right up to Caleb Maddox, and he goes, guess what? Caleb Maddox asks him, so what kind of business are you here for? What kind of funnel? He's like, I'm the next Garrett White. And Caleb Maddox was like, okay, let's do this.
That's awesome. The part, the journey, and I love that story, how they're connecting on, and how you guys are living it, finding a way to make it a part of life. It's really an integrated life. It's hit me a lot personally, and it did even at IC when we saw the first presentation. Because I've been more categories. It's more hey, dads could disappear, go into the cave for about 18 hours. Can you slip some food under the door for me when you get a chance? And we've been making some adjustments. And Jaylee, she says her mouse works now. That's great. I'm going to send it to Jaylee for some questions. And after that, while we have you guys here and we're kind of wrapping up on Train or Die, we're going to do some just a walkthrough, and I wanted to go through that with you guys and share some of the content with all of our viewers here, because guys, the people that we bring on to Train or Die, it's not hey, this is a really good person that's doing a ton of good things in the world and their business is awesome. This is stuff that we're actually consuming. We're going through our journey and we're sharing what we're actually doing and what we're liking and what we're connecting with. And so this is one that I've really connected with personally quite a bit. And so I wanted to walk you guys through that tonight and let Josh and Ashley give us the inside scoop and speak into it. Because there's a few cool things that you won't expect that are really exciting. So we'll jump into that right after Jaylee's questions. Jaylee, you have the floor.
Yeah, I can unmute now. So yes, you do hear I have my 3-year-old over there watching TV. So I have a bunch of questions for you guys, but the one I want to know right now is what's your main, obviously your kids and your families, your why and your reason and stuff, but I saw something about an orphanage and donating to it. Is that your cause or your main cause?
Yes.
For me specifically, I feel like my function on this planet is to be radically generous. Ever since I was a kid, I would give money away. I don't know why. I love to do it. And I remember my parents being concerned when I was 12 and I mowed lawns all summer and I just wanted to give it. I felt compelled to do it. And I believe that we all play different roles, And so there's certain people, like the people that would go into the Amazon jungle, into like hostile, dangerous territory and construct a child rescue thing and get these like trafficked kids and then like feed them and love them and pray for them and take care of them and clean. People that do that, we need those people. I think we all agree. I couldn't be that person. I don't think I could sit in the jungle and like actually feed the baby with mosquitoes biting me. But that person needs me. So entrepreneurship to me is a piece of this greater picture. And so learning how to generate revenue and create margin and build wealth is a skill. It's nothing to be arrogant about. It's no different than someone who's an insane plumber, who's a master at plumbing, or who's a master at orphan feeding. It's all the same thing. Like they're a master at this. This is my lane. And so one of my life goals is to give away $100 million to orphans and widows in other Christian ministries, but specifically orphans and widows. So we support a really small orphanage in Ecuador called Blessed Orphan. This American family went down there. It's a long story, but lots of evil, dark, wicked, sick stuff happening. And they're just going in there, risking their lives, and we like to send them money.
And
so
they're saving kids from human trafficking and sex trafficking, and they've also branched off into Peru, and it's just
some of these
stories.
kids, their parents will sell them for $20, like literally, and all kinds of sexual abuse and stuff, of course. But we know that this is happening everywhere. But we wanted Honor and Fire to be intentional about like funneling revenue to them and like partnering with them. And so one of our products we have does that. Like its function is just to give them money. It's a low ticket product. It's really awesome. And like all the money goes to them. It's just this big warm fuzzy thing. And so, yeah, it's really important to us.
Awesome. Jaylee, do you have any other questions? Another one?
I was gonna say that for VIP.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget VIP's coming on right after this one. And before we go over to Chris and the walkthrough, Josh, Ashley, if people want to learn more about Honor and Fire, where should they go? How should they follow you?
Sure. Just send a handwritten letter delivered by carrier pigeon to...
That joke is over.
They didn't hear it yet, so it's funny to them.
Goodness. I can't even pretend to laugh.
I'm ordering a pigeon on Amazon right now.
No, just go to honorandfire.com. There's actually a little quiz if you have an entrepreneurial family. There's a really cool assessment. It takes like 3 minutes, and you can kind of like rate yourself on like, because there's so much more we could have went into. Like, how's your connection? Like, what's your identity? Do you have core values? Do you have a manifesto? Do you have like, there's so much stuff. But you can go through and it gives you like this snapshot of kind of like where you're at, and you can see where the deficiencies are and maybe what to focus on first. That'd be the best place to start.
Perfect. Chris, over to you.
Yeah, in fact, we can actually talk about that start. And so I'll share my screen here in just a second once it's done loading. But this is the page, honorandfire.com. I would like to ask and request that everyone watching right now or listening to this, the recording or whenever, go to honorandfire.com. You're welcome in advance. Watch the video. It's worth it. You can see that his son there, is that Maverick?
That's Maverick. We're sacrificing him on the altar of business.
Notice that they talked about him in the present. He lived through the video. So, but you should see the full story. And this is the quiz. So today we got to talk about some general systems. What you did not get is a specific systems and questions and an assessment for you and your family. That's completely free. So just go to Honor and Fire, you click the button, and then they do ask your last name so they can customize it. So you get there, and then this is roughly what the quiz looks like. Notice there's just 5 sections. It literally does is take a few minutes, and they go through and ask you like, hey, like, where do you kind of stack up? It gives you a good picture of where your strong areas are and your weak areas, and obviously focusing on some of the weak areas, you can see some big changes in your family and your business. Look, the thing like with business and life, if you're struggling in life, it bleeds into business. If you're struggling in business, it bleeds into your family. And so it's a really good assessment for each side of life. So and I just went through it and was boxing with Josh last week as he was making some updates to the funnel. So you can notice here, just the checkout page, the $20. If you want to keep going here, he has more. I've continued to go forward. I suggest you keep going forward. all the profits are going where, Josh and Ashley?
Bless an orphan.
Yes. So this is part. So you remember the part where he was talking about, hey, like at some point you got to like go outside of the cave with the bat and then like bring some. He wants to give $100 million, and he's gone out. They're together are going outside of the cave, so they have more bats, and they're bringing it home. They're taking action. You can hear the passion with them in their voice and everything they're doing. If you want the audio version, it's available too. I did do the audio version. Anyone that's listened to me for any amount of time know that I love audio, so that happened. And then there's, if you like to read, like, and you just want it all like written out and you don't want to process it, like it's done. They have the playbook for everything and like the systems to implement, and you can literally just like sit down together and walk right through it. It's really, really helpful. It'll definitely speed things up for you. This section right here, I haven't gone through this whole section here, but I did hear one of the like ideas. I think it was from the presentation I see. Here's how, like, okay, you're tired. It's the end of the day. It's the end of the week. And you're supposed to have, quote unquote, date night. The pressure's on. What do? You're tired. Both of you are lying to each other. You don't want to go out and do anything, but you don't want to do nothing and like, oh, I'm going to turn on Netflix because then it's not special. Has anyone ever felt some of those things or thought about some of those things? Some hands are going up. Right? Check this out. If you just get a candle and you light it, and you turn off the lights, and then you have maybe even the microwave dinner you were going to have anyway, it makes it feel more special. And there's those kind of fun ideas in date night and family dinners where you can take something that's completely free and turn it into, oh my gosh, we actually just connected there. Like, B loves to dance. One night, I was like, you know what? Like, the kids just went down. I took her just outside our front door because there's Jasmine there and she loves that smell. And I turned on this Latin music and we danced together. And that was hard for me.
You're a very smart man, Chris baby.
But you get those you're very smart. So you get those type of ideas where it's completely free, it's completely possible. And that, like, we still talk about that night. What matters is the connection. And they've implemented systems that, like, I don't want to use the word manufacture these, but they help. And there is some passion in my voice here because this stuff has affected my life. It means a big deal. They're like, it's going to a good cause. These are things that we're just excited about and we're sharing. If this isn't a good fit for you, like, just don't do it. And then, of course, there's a community built around this. There's a Facebook group where you can hang out and talk. I'm assuming this is the case. There's no normies allowed here.
Unless they snuck in, but...
Unless they snuck in.
There are a few normies if they're married to an entrepreneur. Maybe we need to make up a new name for them. But yeah, there's normies in there that are entrepreneur spouses.
And there's plenty of content and webinars for conversion. So that's lined up. And then, like, as you go through this, I'm just sharing, like, I went through the whole thing. Like, the Bain family is committed to doing all these things. So if you want to keep going, 7-figure families, like, I have some good stories here, but it's going to be too long. I knew that I wanted to build a lifelong marriage, world-changing family, and multi-million-dollar businesses. And that was years ago. It was before I knew about online. I knew nobody that's done that. No one in my family has done it. But it was just in me. I'm like, we got to freaking figure it out. And so when I came across, I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually a thing. And then there's like a lot of them, and they're like cool. And so he actually compiled, I don't think he'll get mad at this part, but if you do get the 7-figure family thing, all of it's incredibly affordable for families, all goes towards a good cause. But like, this is the inside. This is Russell Brunson. Hey, what does Russell Brunson and his family do with their systems? Like, it is possible. What are they doing? To me, I was like, I'm crazy curious. Like, I need to know this stuff. Jamie Cross, she was on here just a couple of weeks ago. Like, we got into her business and we got to see some of her marketing and systems, and she opened up there. But what does it look like for her family? She has 4 kids, if I remember correctly. So maybe I just need to have more kids to make more money. Is that the kind of... Anyway, Ryan, I think he has 3. Brad's in here. He's going for 6. Listen, it's a thing. So there's a bunch of Alex Sharfin. He has 2. Okay, I'm okay.
Well, 2.
Okay, and there's some bonus. What's that?
Tony and Amber Grubmeyer, they have 2 as well.
Okay, so there's hope for. So it's but you get to see what they're doing practically and just having a conversation. You totally get taken. You get to go behind the scenes and see what's actually really happening. It's real content, real people. It's really incredible what they've put together. So we wanted to share that with you guys tonight. I did my best to cover everything that I experienced when I walked through the thing. Josh, Ashley, is there anything you'd like to add that I missed?
No, I didn't know you were going to do that. That was awesome. I mean, you showed everything. Thank you for doing that. We've worked really, really hard on it. It's very unique. I promise you won't find this type of content anywhere in the world because I've looked for it because we needed it too. So we created it.
And we asked those entrepreneurs 10 of the exact same questions with their spouse. It was very honest and real and raw, and there's all different entrepreneurs in there. That was the first interview Colette Brenson had ever done. Oh my goodness, I'm like her super fan now. Oh my goodness. And they come from all different walks of life. Some of them have blended families. Some of them have older kids. Some of them have, and it's just it changed my life. Like, I didn't realize how much just building it would change my life, but it really changed my life. And the systems and the things that we learned from them are just mind-blowing.
Yeah, if you ever feel like you have a hard time finding your people, the 7-figure families thing that we did, those are your people. And you're just going to be like high-fiving your computer. Just don't break your screen. You're going to be like fist bumping and crying, and then you're going to be like fist bumping again. It's pretty awesome.
People who have, owed $1 million to the IRS, addiction, just suicidal, like, you name it, it's in that 7-figure families. And they talk about it.
That's amazing. And thank you guys again. We're coming to a close here. We got 3 minutes. So I got one question. We're going to do quick takeaways here. The one question I've got is, how do you guys want to impact the world?
We want people to know that God made them on purpose, for a purpose, and that they don't have to accept the identity given to them by outside forces. If you don't tell your kids who they are, the world will do it for you. The same applies to yourself. We also want to help marriages. And what do you want to add?
I personally, like, he wants to give away 100 million. I want to help at least 1 million, at least 1 million women learn to thrive in their life, not just survive it. And coming from an entrepreneur spouse who had no entrepreneurial anybody around me, I've really got to coach a lot of women and how to do that and surround myself with a great community. So I'm obsessed with it.
Ooh, that's amazing. Great impact lessons there. Let's go to Will and Paige. What's your biggest takeaway? There might be a lot, but.
There is a lot. I think, like, for me, like, just your inspiration and everything that you've just kind of brought to the table tonight. So thank you very, very much. You talk about being a fan. I think that you've got your newest fan here. I think you guys are fantastic. So I'm excited to come find you guys on Facebook and Instagram and all that. And, well, I've already kind of scoped out your Facebook page. We're looking at it this afternoon. But just check you guys out a little bit more and learn more about you guys. And so I think for me, just like the inspiration that you brought, super motivating for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it's been, you've almost given us hope that there's other people out there like us, that they're entrepreneurial families, and we've kind of felt like we've struggled to find people with passion who want to kind of take that step up to the next level, honestly. And to hear you guys talk, and with all the passion you have, it just drives it home that what we're doing makes even more sense. That's really it. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. My biggest takeaway was the difference between being injured and being hurt. I was just like, that was like a light bulb revelation for me. So thank you so much for that, Josh. I always get stuff when I listen to you, and I love listening to you, both of you guys. Jay Lee, biggest takeaway.
Family manifesto. We make the boys do affirmations. They're still young, but I love that idea.
Yeah. And Mr. Chris Baden, what's your takeaway?
Yeah, my takeaway was around the identity piece for myself. I was like, oh shoot, my identity, and I've thought through some of that before, but I was like, wait a minute, how many pieces of my identity came from somebody else? I was like, ooh, I'm gonna sort through that and be talking with B about that at some point. And then Josh, I know we talked briefly about speaking into our kids and what that looks like for identity. There's one thing that I hope all digital geniuses, everyone listening, knows. You guys have heard, myself and all of us talk about increasing your network to increase your net worth. And a big part of Train or Die and bringing people on is we want you, we shamelessly share their content, and Josh and Ashley did not ask at all for that to take place. They came here to give and share their passion, their heart with everyone. But we like to share the content and everything with our audience. Why? Because it's you're connecting with people that are showing, hopefully inspiring you that it is possible. And when you're alone or you're stuck or you're caught in the rhythm of life, you don't know where to go or what Instagram page to look for, or YouTube channel to look for, and you're just kind of stuck. And so it takes energy, effort, time, money, sacrifice to go build a network and find these people. And we're doing that and sharing and hopefully making it easy for you guys to be inspired and come to one place and get that, so that you can know your true identity, so that you can rise up, you can unleash the genius within, and make your impact and contribution in the world. So thank you, Josh and Ashley, for being a part of that. And heck yeah.
Yeah, so and to close this out, guys, don't forget, next week we have a very special edition of Train or Die. It will be 3 years without missing a single week. Talk about consistency for 3 years straight. I'm so excited about episode 156 coming up next week. Don't miss that next week. But as we do at the end of every very fancy show, I'm going to actually ask Josh and Ashley just to share some good words for everybody out there, all you digital geniuses. And also, what was your favorite part tonight?
What my favorite part was the insane energy level you had, Sean, when you were starting. I don't know if you've done that every week for 3 years, but that was unreal. I'm sitting on mute and I'm like, holy cow, we got to change our state right now. We're going to get steamrolled by this energy. It was awesome. It got me, I was pumped up, you know, and that was amazing. In terms of my words of encouragement is that you do have what it takes for real. And there are a lot of people less talented than you that already have what you want. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need to learn 700 more things. You need to implement the basics and execute fearlessly on the stuff you already know. The universe isn't conspiring against you. You can do it. And just go for it. I have no college degree. My bachelor's in pain and suffering, that was fake. I'm a pizza guy. I lived in a trailer park. We've done these things not because of intelligence, because of action, and gradually up-leveling our belief because of taking action.
How do you follow up that? I don't think you do.
You can encourage the like this.
I would encourage entrepreneur wives to, hold on, relax, breathe, tell your spouse exactly what you want them to do. Hold your big girl panties up. Tell Nagatha, it ain't your day. Get away from me. If you want this to work, you've got to fan the flame of his dreams, and he'll fan the flame of your dreams. And you can have this amazing marriage. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You can have your cake and eat it too. You just have to know the right systems, and you also have to be around the right people.
That was perfect. And fresh fart, high five, there it comes, right at you guys. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for being on the show. Don't forget, honorandfire.com, honorandfire.com. Go check them out, guys. Follow them. They are amazing people. I love them to death, and all of their kids that I haven't actually met yet, but I give a big bear hug virtually too. So don't forget, there's a VIP after party coming up right now. We will see you guys next week. Same channel, same time. Train or Die. Talk to you guys a little bit later.